Hi, I'm Paris, and I'm not much of a vlogger. The format I prefer is the product review, but a situation has come my way that lends itself more to vlogging, and since I want to be able to do some videos on this topic for other people who are going through it, and also preemptively explain some physical changes that may become apparent in the coming weeks, I wanted to do this video. Now, you may have noticed I haven't been posting many videos lately. It's been a pretty busy couple months, and I would much rather have been doing videos than going to the testing and exams and scans that I've been going to. But last month I got my diagnosis of prostate cancer. Now, they didn't catch it early, but neither do the scans show that it has spread. So I'm sort of in the middle in terms of weighing the treatments that I should have, because of course I want to take care of it as quickly and thoroughly as possible. But there are also quality of life issues, because when they do surgery or other things to fix that up, there are some other functions that may go with it. So this month has been about going and getting first opinions and second opinions and talking it over with my family and deciding on a treatment plan, which I've done. And so this time tomorrow, I should be done with my first dose of chemotherapy. I'm nervous about it, both the long list of side effects as well as how effective it will be. But I'm also excited to finally be doing something about this, because I got my first inklings of what might be going on, that I had prostate cancer a couple months back with a PSA test. And so for the 2 months, I've been getting diagnosed and deciding on treatments, but I haven't done anything to actually try and help get rid of the cancer. So if you've dealt with prostate cancer, then you might think, well, my order's a little out of whack. Normally chemo is the last thing they do, and only if they need to. When I got my confirmed diagnosis with all the details, I immediately called up the big cancer center in Houston, not too far from here in Austin, and they were able to get me in relatively quickly. My thinking was, this is world famous cancer center, they're going to know what to do. So I went through everything with them, and their suggestion was the more typical approach of doing surgery and then radiation and then the hormone suppressing drugs, and then sort of wait and see, and if things come back, then maybe some more radiation, and at the end of that might end up being chemo. So I said, okay, let's do it. I already had my surgery scheduled for the middle of November and was making plans for that. But when I got my original diagnosis here in Austin, the urologist had made an appointment with me for a surgeon here in Austin that he thought was really good, and suggested even after going to Houston, I keep my appointment with this person in Austin. So I did, sort of as a formality, thinking, well, he'll just say, yeah, that's probably the best plan. But to my surprise, no, he actually had a very different approach. He said with prostate cancer, they usually see men in their 70s, and so their timeline goal that they work with is usually 5 to 10 years. They want to make sure you're good through that amount of time. And so the treatment is based on your anticipated life expectancy, as well as doing less harm, not doing the things that are going to be harder on your body. But the doctor here in Austin said, I don't want to take that approach with you. He said, you're still young, which was nice to hear. But he said, since you're in your 50s, we want to look, instead of at a 5 or 10 year window, we want to be looking at 15 to 20 years. Well, I like the sound of that. He said, to get you there, we want to start with the chemo. He said, now your scans don't show that it has spread anywhere else, but you have the cells, they're out and about in your body, even if they haven't taken up residence somewhere, he said. And with traditional prostate cancer treatment, they chase the cancer. They do the surgery, they do some radiation, and then they wait and see. And then when it pops up somewhere else, because your PSA numbers are going up, then they go and treat that, and then they wait and see. And they're chasing it. He said, with you, want to get ahead of it to try to give you the best chance of not being on those hormone suppressing drugs for the rest of your life, because if you're on those longer term, if the cancer doesn't get you, the cancer treatment might. He also said, you're young and seem healthy, so you can better handle the chemo now than if we end up having to do it in 10 or 12 years from now. You're in better shape to deal with that. He said he's taken this approach with other younger prostate cancer patients, and it seems to work out best for giving you that long-term window. Another element of it that I really liked is that by doing the chemo first before the surgery, because I'll still be having surgery, even though the chemo can't really get into the prostate gland, you would think maybe it could just go in and clear the whole tumor out, but that doesn't usually happen. But what it can do is it can cause it to retract. So any of it that's sort of come out in that general area, it can kill that off. And the reason you want to have that happen is when they're doing the surgery, they want to make sure they get everything, so they do what's called a margin. They sort of scoop a little extra out all around it to make sure they got all of it. And if it's bigger, then that means they've got to do a larger margin area. There's more chance that they're going to intercept those nerves that control all that function down there, and that's what you don't want to have happen. So by doing the chemo first, there's a chance that may retract up away from the nerves, and so by doing that, there's an improved chance of a better quality of life to enjoy through that longer window. So the plan is, rather than chase the cancer for the next 10 or however many years, to get out ahead of it very aggressively now, do the chemo 4.5 months, then surgery, then some radiation, and then another couple years with the hormone blocking medication. And at the end of that, go off of all the things and see, and hopefully don't see any numbers rising up, and I'll be done. No guarantees, but that's the best sounding outcome to me. Now, on this channel, I'd like to continue to do my regular videos, so don't go leaving saying, I don't want to hear about all that prostate stuff. I don't want to hear about all that prostate stuff either, but the things I've learned and the procedures I've been through, when I was going into it, I wasn't really sure what to expect. I had read a little and was very nervous. So I want to do a few videos on those topics that might help somebody else coming into the same situation. Sadly, more and more people coming into it with the poor diets that we eat in the United States. I'm afraid our cancer rates continue to go up, along with all the other health maladies we get from being overweight and from eating such a poor diet. So I'm hoping to do some videos with the occasional follow-up video on this topic, introducing information and first-hand experience with some humor, because if you're not laughing about this, you're crying, and I'd rather be laughing. I'll also be doing other products. I have some lined up already, and some that are sort of in the middle, since I anticipate losing my luxurious locks of hair, which solves the problem of when am I ever going to be able to go and get my hair cut again. But for the longest time, I've wanted to wanted to do a review of the stamp-on eyebrows, just because it seems so interesting that you can stamp on the different shapes, and I imagine it changes your whole expression. But my kids would never let me shave off my eyebrows to try it. They said, you do that, we will not be seen with you. So I put it off, but I may get the occasion in the upcoming weeks. If I lose all the hair, as is often the case with the chemotherapy that I'll be going through, I'll finally get to try out those stamp-on eyebrows. You've got to focus on the opportunities, not the loss. That's the only way to go. At least that's the route I plan on taking. Not that there haven't been some bad days and bad nights the past couple months, and I'll talk more about that in videos on this topic. But for those of you who don't want to know more about this than you have to, I don't blame you. And to all of you, I'll see you on the next review.
There are so many choices and you don't want to stress. You want your health food at home, receiving only the best. That's what we're here for, we give honest reviews. parristx.